off. Let's see, it just beeped. Yeah, I think it's probably working. Okay, Tune B says there's no sound, but he must be trying to fuck with me. Oh, okay, wow. Yeah, that's like real time, dude. Sound is on. All right. Do you have a go-to takedown sequence? Actually, yeah, I have like 3 or 4. I'll show that. Let me wait until a few more people trickle in, and then I'll start off with some takedown stuff. Okay, it just worked. Okay. Tune B wasn't lying. His audio just caught up. Okay. Hassanin Shah. Hey, thanks for doing this. What are some good techniques to prevent stacking against triangles? Some people will just either stack me till my legs open or push my legs violently to the side. Okay, cool. All right, I'll just go ahead and do the takedown question now because a lot of people are probably not interested in my takedowns. Well, let's just fucking do judo. Let's make sure oh, come on, focus. There we go. I think it's okay now. All right. Yeah. So without going too in depth to takedowns, I think my favorite is just the basic collar drag. I feel like you don't have to be very good at takedowns to apply it. The big thing I focus on is just trying to do it quick off of the initial grips, right? If you start engaging with the guy and we both get like full grips and everything, it becomes a bit harder for you to do the takedowns as you can kind of stiff arm. But if you're here early on, especially if the guy thinks you might pull guard, and I use this left hand to catch this collar grip, a basic collar drag is just like one of the easiest takedowns. The thing I focus on is a step to the left. I'm going to try to clip his foot with my right foot and I pull across with the collar. One thing that I think I focus on a lot that I see a lot of people do different, I don't want to say it's wrong, it's just different, is a lot of people when they collar drag, they're like falling way back here like this, like they're trying to throw a lot of force in it to slam the guy, and that's great. But a lot of times if you miss it or don't quite get it, it's hard to come up if he kind of jumps around that way, and it's hard to actually turn it into a finish, right? So the thing I focus on when I do it is like, I'm going to do it without clipping his ankle this time, is I'm trying to go more forward, like I'm landing in a single leg. So my leg positioning when I land is going to be more forward like this. Because from here, it's really easy to start coming up into the single leg, right? So when I actually land here, the focus keeps going off there. Okay. Yeah, when I actually land here, I'm going to pull on this one. I'm going to shoot my right leg in between his legs. And then I'm going to land in that single leg position. When I actually do it, I'm going to clip this ankle, but for now, I'm going to go in between the legs. So it'll look more like here and forward. Because when I land here, I can push with that collar away into his neck. His leg becomes light, and it's really easy to come up on the single leg. Now, if when you do it, you catch that ankle, then a lot of times you may trip him and he may just face plant. If not, I still get the single leg, right? So when I go here, the match starts, we're up here like this, I'll catch here, right? And I hit there, and now it's really easy to come up. The other thing that's really good with this one is doing a kind of like a Kochigari to like an ankle pick, right? So the guy thinks I'm going to collar drag, so I pull this way, which is going to make that foot get a little bit lighter, and I'm going to clip it there like this, right? So if I'm here early in the match and I grab this, I like to pull and catch that and get the ankle, and now it's easy to whatever takedown you want to do. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, that's one of my favorites. I could go more, but I don't want to go super in depth on takedowns. But I think if there was like a really easy to implement takedown series, that would be it. The collar drag, ankle pick, and collar drag. I think it's like you don't need to be good at takedowns. It easily switches from guard to standing. You can be on the bottom and then stand up and go back into it. Yeah. Oh, hey, what's up? I can't read your name, but I'm assuming you're from Korea. Thanks for joining. Ask John about a takedown. He finds one that's basically pulling into the late stage of a sit-up guard sweep. He knows what likes. Thanks, Tony. Oh, man, me and Tony need to have a chess game and live stream it. Tony Rotella has a chess YouTube channel. Okay. Do you have any advice for people who are nervous in competitions? I feel myself having an adrenaline dump a lot when going into my local competition. and gassing out within like a minute. Yeah, it's a really good question. Well, first off, I think being nervous is normal, right? So don't fight being nervous. I think that gives a lot of people a hard time because they think that the fact that they're nervous means they're not going to perform good. I've had many tournaments where I was like super nervous all the way up to like the finals of worlds and I won the match, right? And like I would be super nervous. So I think the thing is like after you win a few matches while you're super nervous, you start to understand that being nervous isn't a problem. It's okay. It's just like I don't know, just view it almost like you're sick or something. And it's like you can't be like I want to be not sick right now. Like just you are. It's okay, right? And it's kind of like ties into like anxiety, right? Like if you start trying to not be nervous, that act of feeling like you have to not be nervous is what's going to trigger the nerves. If you just accept it's okay to be nervous, I can feel nervous and still fight, then you're actually going to do better. As far as like the cardio issue, like whether you're nervous or not, there's always adrenaline at the beginning of the fight, and it's very normal to feel like an adrenaline dump. So what I try to focus on two things to help with that adrenaline dump in the beginning of the fight. One is do a really good warm up. Like a lot of people I see warming up, they're just kind of doing like this, like like this, like 1980s little like small little warm up. But to actually get really warmed up, I want to feel like I feel after my first match, after my warm up. Like I want to be dead. Right. So when I do my initial warm up, like I may run a little bit to get loose. I do hard sprints and I may do some burpees and stuff until I'm like, like really dead tired. And then I recover from that. And that actually gets that initial adrenaline dump out before I actually fight. Right. And I also like to do a lot of stretching because your body tenses up a lot, and doing like a really good mobility program will loosen you up a lot before you fight. Right. So for the physical portion, I would say a good stretch program, a really like hard warm up. That will help a lot with the actual adrenaline dump. From a technical perspective, in the beginning of the fight, I really like to try to slow it down a little bit. Like I try to like there's an element where if you technically can't control the guy or slow him down, it may come across as like it's an adrenaline issue, but it may be that technically you need to learn to control the guy better. Because usually when I have students competing for the first time, if they know like my lasso spider system, I'm like, okay, pull guard, defend their initial pass scramble, get a lasso, put them in spider guard. Or if you play a different position, say it's deep half guard or daily evo, whatever, defend that initial pass scramble, try to stay calm, get that position. Once you get it, calm down, lower your heart rate, relax, and then start working, right? So try to slow it down a little bit. Don't get caught in that like rat race of going crazy, because then you're going to burn out really quick, right? You want to slow it down. That's how I fight. And then final thoughts on like the mental portion. Again, understand that it's completely normal to feel nervous. Guys who are world champion black belts, like Michel Lange, is the guy who closed out the worlds with me in 2011 at brown belt. He like murdered everyone. He subbed everyone. And I remember Michael Lange coming to me before like the semifinals, or maybe it was earlier on. He came to me and he's like, "Hey man, can you talk to my brother and just calm him down? He's like really nervous, right?" And it's like, dude, Michel Lange murdered everyone, right? Like no one wanted to fight Michel Lange. He was killing everyone. But like I had to talk him down, like, it's okay, man, like because he was terrified of competing, even though he was one of the best in the world, right? So don't view your nerves as like a problem. And I think as you accept it's okay to be nervous, you'll in like paradoxically, you'll actually start to feel less nervous. So don't worry about feeling nervous. It's okay. Be cool with it and focus on fighting. And focus on your technique mainly, right? If you lose, always blame technique. Thanks, Tony. Do you have any tactics for quickly establishing grips from bottom open guard? Goblunkus, I can't say it. Are you on your back or sitting up when you say, do you have any tactics, misdirections for quickly establishing grips from bottom open guard? Are you talking about I'm on my back and the guy's trying to pass and I have no grips, or am I sitting up trying to get grips? Does that make sense? No problem, Tenacious G. John, your YouTube Korea popular. Awesome. I'm hoping to visit Korea someday soon when the pandemic ends. No grips from seated guard usually. Okay, cool. So I'll just talk a little bit about grip fighting in general, right? Let's move this chair. So The big thing when you're grip fighting is like, if you guys know my content, right? Like I always focus on like positions, right? So everything is like a position, like your skill set in collar sleeve, your skill set in collar sleeve. I think the thing that confuses people the most is like maybe they get good at individual positions, but then there's this kind of like gray area where it's like there's no position yet, and that seems more like a scramble. But to me, it's still a position. The position is just the grip fight, right? So basically this, I'll go to collar sleeve first, right? So this is like collar sleeve, right? Like I'm attacking from collar sleeve and doing stuff from here. That's a position. This position here is grip fighting, basically it's playing guard before grips, or like grip fighting from sitting up, right? So this position ends when I establish a guard or he establishes a pass position. So I could specific train to develop this skill set by say, we start here and then basically we stop when I establish a guard or he establishes a passing position. So maybe I come in, I try something, I like mess up and he gets double underhooks, right? Now we're kind of in the double underhooks game, right? So now either I'm good at defending this or he's better at finishing it. And we could isolate this and specific train this, right? So I do this kind of training a lot, right? Both top and bottom to get good at it. So the thing to understand though is this is a bit more of an advanced topic because it depends on the guards you play. Let's say that you're a beginner, you just started, and the only guard you know is closed guard. I can't teach you a ton of grip fighting from here because you don't know certain guards, right? Like for example, we could be here and I could get his sleeve first, like this, right? And once I get this sleeve, I could grab this lapel, put my foot in the bicep, and fall back to like a homolo guard, right? And that's a great tool when you're grip fighting, right? I can use that to set stuff up. But if someone doesn't know the homolo guard, that doesn't really do them much good, right? So how you grip fight will largely be dependent on the grips you know how to play. So there is no correct answer for grip fighting. It's just how do you want to set certain things up. That being said, I think key things to look for are building off of a single sleeve control and a single pant control. The reason I focus on those is they're often the easiest things to get. If he's going to do literally anything to me, he's got to use his hands, right? Like it's hard to pass without a grip, right? So ultimately, he may hide both, but if he commits one hand, right, like I can try to get one sleeve. Even if he grabs my lapel, I can try to break it or I can just let him have it, right? And then I can go here, try to lasso. And now look, now this turns into collar sleeve. It could turn into double sleeve. If you watch my last video, it could turn into cross sleeve. And basically learning to control from just a single lasso will allow me to branch out into all these other aspects of the game. The other really important one is the ankle grip. So if I'm here like this and he's kind of near me, but I can't get the hand, learning to control with just one ankle and learning to build my game off of this is another big one, right? So now if he grabs here, I can break this. This can turn into setup guards. And now I'm building off of that, the no grip phase, right? So when you're setting up, usually I'm looking for a sleeve first. If you have a good sleeve control game, if I can get one sleeve here, I can fall back on my elbow, lasso, start building collar sleeve, double sleeve. You know, if you're ambidextrous, you can do it with either sleeve. If he has this hand forward, maybe I get this one. Fall back, collar sleeve, cross sleeve, double sleeve, all that opens up. If he's hiding the hands a lot, then I may go collar. I can do either collar. If I go for this collar, I have the threat of a collar drag and an ankle pick, right? But also if he tries to break this grip, I can usually get the sleeve from that. Elbow, feet up first, fall back, collar, sleeve, like that, right? And then another thing is, especially for beginners, when someone's trying to pass my guard, I try not to stay stationary as he comes at me. He has too much ability to do things. If we're here and I'm grip fighting like this and he gets kind of close, it's very quick for him to make a quick step around. And now I'm like way out of position like this. So it's almost like boxing. Like if I'm here like this and we're grip fighting here, start coming at me, I'm kind of like backing up all times, looking for a grip from a distance because I want to keep that distance between me and him so that it's easier for me to get up quick, right? So we're here, right? So I'm like this, so he starts coming in, I'm like looking for a sleeve like this, boom, here, maybe he grabs my leg, break, lasso, or I fall back, grab here, right? Or maybe we're sitting up and I get this sleeve first, I fall back, lasso, right? So when I'm sitting up, I'm always trying to back up and establish a grip and keep him at distance. And then when I fall back, I'm looking for an initial sleeve or an ankle. Okay. Boom. Let's see. Chris Labato, I recently been watching all your double sleeve and collar sleeve videos. Do you have any tips on conditioning your grips? Find my sleeve grip giving out, or is it just learning when to be tight? It's a little bit of both. Of course, grip strength is going to help. One important thing to understand with grip strength as well for jiu-jitsu, positions that are based off of like we always talk about not wanting to use strength in jiu-jitsu. Okay, so if I'm doing something that involves me deadlifting the opponent off the floor, I would say that's bad technique, because what if my opponent is 200 kilograms or like 300 pounds? Then maybe I can't lift them easily, right? So that's dependent off of their strength. Or maybe like if we're doing tug of war, it's dependent on how strong that guy is, right? But when you're doing something from guard where I'm like holding with my sleeves, if I'm strong enough to hold my body weight, no matter how strong he is, I'm only pulling against my own weight. So that'll actually scale. Like I could be fighting the Mountain from Game of Thrones, and if he deadlifts and I hold the sleeve, I never have to pull more than my own body weight. So if you get strong enough, you don't need to get any stronger than that. It's not like you get stronger, but then if your opponent's even stronger, now you have to be even stronger. Like there's a cap on how strong you have to be. So for sure, having better grip strength will help with sleeve control guards. That being said, most of the time it is like technical issues with how you're holding the sleeves. Like when I'm holding the sleeves in guard, most of the time I'm kind of loose and I go with their grip. I'm more concerned about turning my hand so they can't loop than I am anything else. So I'll show you an example. Like if I'm in spider guard here, right? If I'm in spider guard here, you know, a lot of people have the hard time when the guy deadlifts, but we'll go slow motion. The reason it's hard is because people try to stay on the floor and stop the guy from posturing. So it's like they're trying to pull him back down, posture really hard, like, and it like breaks the grips. It's really hard, right? But I always go with them when they rip hard, right? So if I'm here and he postures up really hard, look, my upper back just goes, this is really easy, right? Go back down. See, I could even do it with 2 fingers. Like I could do it with 1 finger, right? Deadlift. Like this is no problem, right? It's because I go with it, right? If I have 2 fingers and he rip your arm back really hard, so you rip it up in the air. Yeah, see how my arm goes with it? Boom, boom, right? So you got to learn to go with it. It's hard in the beginning because you have this like death grip, right? The other thing that'll help too is I try to grab more towards the inside of the wrist. If I grab out here, it's a little bit harder. It's more on the fingers. Whereas if I go in here more, I can kind of curl the material into my palm. It's hard to explain, but if you try it, you'll feel it like that. And I kind of curl my wrist and turn my knuckle into his forearm, right? So when I'm here, I'm kind of tight, I'm controlling, but as he pulls his arm back, pull your arm back, like I just kind of follow it and then I adapt and go through. Or if I have leg past body, pull your arm back really hard. I'm tight, but keep pulling back really hard. Ultimately, I just go with it if I need to. I don't try to fight it too hard. Okay. A lot of people are always thinking about, you know, again, this is why I always talk about not thinking of jiu-jitsu in like broad principles where people will say like, you know, break their base. Like it's really important that you break the base when you play guard. You know what I mean? But like when I play spider guard, I'm never thinking about breaking my opponent's base. That's not even like it never even crosses my mind. Like in fact, if the guy bases really hard, I just work underneath him, right? So I think if you're playing spider guard and you're in your head, you're thinking, I'm not saying you did this, but like I have people ask this question all the time. They're like, well, I can't break the guy's base. Like you don't need to. If he postures, you go underneath him and attack an ankle lock or a matrix or X guard or a back kick, right? So you don't have to think in terms of breaking the base. So I think a lot of times when you're playing collar sleeve, double sleeve, if you just learn to kind of go with it more, it makes it easier. That being said, it can be case dependent. Like there's certain positions where if he does this, I might do this. And if he does this, I might do this. So I can't answer every micro question, but on a broad level, that's often the issue is like going with the grip. Let's see here. Most important question, how many gis do you own? Honestly, not that many. When I left the previous gym I was at, I actually lost quite a few because we had like a big issue when I left the other gym. Like it was not on good terms and didn't get along. So I lost a lot of gis at the old gym that are still there. So I don't know if they burned them or sold them or what, or just gave them to new people joining. But I have, I think I have like 4 gis. I have like 4 vital gis. Let's see here. How do you deal with the opponent tries to pass underneath the legs while playing collar sleeve or double sleeve, like some kind of leg drag bolo pass? This has been nullifying my shallow lasso. Okay, good question. Okay, so if I'm in a shallow lasso, I need to keep remembering to look there. Yeah.
Okay. So if I'm in a shallow lasso here, what the guy's doing is he's kind of like working underneath to like a diving bolo crab ride deal. Like he's kind of going in like this. You can roll a little bit if you want. I know it's kind of hard to do slow motion. This kind of stuff starts to happen, right? So go back. So generally, I can sense this coming, right? One thing is like the right leg is keeping it. Go over this way. Is like I'm pretty quick about detecting that because for him to do that, this can't be here. He can't really do a diving bolo crab ride if his right leg is low. If I'm up like this, he might be able to dive in for it, grabbing the hip. So if I ever feel him going for my hip, I'll just like put this here. See, now grab my hip and start lifting my hip really hard. You see, it's like my arm is in the way as he does that. So grab there and start lifting super hard, right? See, he's just pulling my foot into his own armpit. It's going to give me the sleeve immediately, and then I can come back. The other thing is with this lasso, a lot of times I'm in the collarbone, but on a more advanced level, I actually use my shin more and I drop my hip. It's like an anti-stack motion, right? So if he drives some pressure in here, I can really pressure hard with this. And if he starts trying to like drop for a bolo or a crab ride, like try, I know it's hard, but like it's like I'm so low here and I push on this sleeve and I drop my hips really heavy, it's really hard. So
I would say keep that right leg down a bit if you detect them going for it. Of course, they can combine it with other techniques, so you kind of have to worry about maybe them trying to trap the leg and that at the same time. But if you know they're going for it a lot, just keep dropping that foot. Once you get double sleeve, they can't really go for it because you're controlling both sleeves. They shouldn't be able to go under. But if you're in like a single lasso or collar sleeve, it's a little bit more of a threat. Just be careful, keep the foot low, is what I would say. Hey, John, Jaguar again here. God, man, what an awesome name. When I play the cross sleeve guard, I get fucked when the opponent steps over my leg. Oh, man, I need to see that. Let me think. Wait, is it like cross sleeve De La Hiva or like cross guard? Next seminar in Carrollton, Georgia. Well, Everett, I think a better question is next seminar question mark like or seminars as a thing question mark. Hopefully whenever the world comes back to normal we can go back to some seminars and stuff. Cross guard, okay, so you're in cross guard, the guy traps your leg. Jaguar, let's if you could give me a call, let's go through it. We can either do it tonight or tomorrow. I kind of need to see a picture of the situation. It's very contextual because I don't know if your like leg is on the outside or you're already in with your leg in between the elbow knee space. Are you playing underhook De La Hiva? You know what I mean? Let's see. And get up on a singlet that works most of the time. We said for the HQ, I try to rock back. Get up on, yeah, I need to see the position because from what you're describing, like coming up on a single leg from cross guard's hard to imagine. So yeah, let's take a call later. We'll go through it. Thanks, buddy. Okay, my Corona training partner has 15 kilograms on me and 10 years of weightlifting. His grips are like steel. Got any tips to guard passing when you simply cannot keep your posture? Didrik, really, it's not any different. Like, if you think in terms of, I never really think about like strength in a broad sense, right? Of course it matters, it does, right? But it only matters in the sense of a position. So your question is like, this guy is strong and he's got really good grips, right? And basically, I think to answer your question, we need to do more of a deep dive into how you see jujitsu in general. Like solutions to problems are always specific, right? It's kind of like asking like, how do you make a satellite work, right? It's like there's no you or like how do you make a satellite? Like there's so many things involved in that. It's not just a satellite working. It's like you have to understand general relativity. You have to understand how to make the materials that go into a satellite. You have to understand like thermodynamics and like how those materials work and they expand and like how they work under different gravities. You have to understand like orbital mechanics, understand gravity, like understand telecommuting. There's all these factors, right? So in your case, it's like this guy is really strong and he's breaking your posture. But like breaking your posture is just, it's like a very loose thing, right? Like if someone's breaking my posture in collar sleeve, it's different than if I'm in close guard, and that's different than if I'm in cross sleeve guard. So there is no like universal answer that's going to answer that problem. What I'm taking away from that question is that and it's for sure it's true. It's a huge advantage for your opponent to have super strong grips and be super strong, but you can overcome that. So rather than thinking like like your brain is getting fixated on like, damn, he's so strong, it's so hard, I'm sure. But ultimately you should really isolate it to like, okay, well, when I'm in collar sleeve, he grabs my collar in this exact position and he's pulling so hard that it's really hard for me to do something. And in that specific situation, strength may or may not be the factor, but you actually need, even though he's really strong, there's no loose answer to dealing with strength. It all goes back to micro positions. So I can't answer that question. I could answer if it was like, hey, when I'm in collar sleeve and he's grabbing my collar and he's got his foot here and my hand is here, he's pulling really hard and he feels really strong and it's hard to get around. Then I could give you an answer to that. But that broad of a question is very difficult to answer. Sorry, I know that's like not the answer you probably wanted, but honestly, I think that's the way you got to start thinking about jiu-jitsu. Every problem you have is a specific problem, right? Every single problem. We always tend to look for like kind of broad ways to explain our problems. Like, man, the guy's so big, he's so strong, he's so fast, right? But ultimately, it comes down to a lack of understanding in a position. And I don't mean that to like target you. That happens to me all the time. I'll be training with someone, and then like I'm trying to do my Toriano works. I'm like, man, they feel so strong there. It's like it's like if I understood it better, I would understand how to do it to get around that position, right? So always dig deeper and ask more specific questions, right? Could you show us some pass combos that go well together, Toriando? Yeah, sure. Do you want it from no grips, or do you want it from like a specific guard? You know what I'm saying? Because like the pass combo from no grips will be different than if it's like from De La Riva guard or lasso, right? This is the question from you, Siddhara. From no grips. Okay, cool. All right. All right. Okay, so here's a cool one. This is actually what I've been working on like nonstop the last like month and a half, so I have a ton to show here. Okay, so one really cool one I like to do here is whenever I'm going to pass the guard before grips, usually you have to get a first grip, okay? And I could go mega deep into that, but it's either going to be, usually the guy's like on a side tilt. So like if I'm approaching the guard, he's on his back, he's a little bit on his side. I'm either going to have the bottom leg first or I'm going to have the top leg first. They both have pros and cons. We're going to start with the top leg first situation, okay? So I have this top leg first. Maybe I'm jamming it in a little bit here, okay? One thing I like to do here is I try to snap this leg down like this to the floor behind me. So a lot of people are usually expecting you to either go this way for like a one-arm Toriando, or maybe I go here and try to do like a two-arm Toriando or something like this, right? But like trying to snap this leg back is a little bit different, right? So left, right, and snap it down, right? So I'm going to snap it down. Usually when I snap it down like this, especially if he starts trying to extend his foot towards my bicep, it's easier to snap it down. Once I snap it back, I'm going to drop my shin in and try to catch the lapel for a knee cut pass. This is a great knee cut pass entrance because when I go in like this, the normal issues of like the lasso and stuff are really hard here, right? Because I'm already past this leg. You see, once I clear this leg behind me, a lot of people think of the lasso as like they want to be tight. So like say I'm right here with my lapel. He can actually lasso here. If he pushes, his foot will come over. So when I'm controlling this pant leg here, like this, and I get it behind me, now my back is like in front of his leg. There's no way he can lasso here. It's like there's a wall here. You see what I mean? Bring your leg up. You see, if my back is where my hand currently is, it doesn't matter how flexible he is. His leg could like rotate like an infinite ball bearing, and like my body's in the way. He can't lasso over this. Does that make sense? So all right, is it back? Yeah, it should be back now. 1 second. Cool. Audio is back. I don't know why the audio just shuts off. I think it's good. Yeah, cool. Okay. Cool. Okay, so I'm entering for the cut, right? So I'm trying to push this to the floor. So we're up here, right? I can like throw side to side, all this threats. I shoot this down. I try to clear in and go for the cut. If I clear the leg, I can go for the cut. But often what will happen is as I snap this down, this bottom leg pops out like this, right? That's kind of annoying. So I know that's going to happen. It's a common thing. So if I shoot for this cut hard, as I shoot in, this bottom leg clears, I get this lapel just like I would have done for the cut. But now this thing is pinned to the floor back here. So I just stand up, I put my weight on my left hand, and I keep this thing pinned to the floor here like this, see? And then you kind of like grab the collar or whatever, right? He's here like this. And now it's really easy to jump to this side and clean the pass here. That's one of my favorite new pass combos because it just trips the guy so much. So sometimes I'll be here like this, moving, and I go down like this, and I just wait for him to bring that leg out really quick and like kind of be more like active. Yeah, like this. And then I just clear there because his hip is wide open on that other side. And if I wanted to add a 3-string combo in it, I'll snap it down here. And then if I'm not all the way in yet, sometimes he'll try to spin all the way to the other side like this. And I use this to hit a Toreando there, right? So those 3 go really good together, right? So I might be in here like this. I come in. Sometimes here, if he's knee shielding too, I can grab this and start threatening to go here. He'll center back up. Now I have him more centered. I can try a Toreando. So I'm moving around. I push the leg in. He puts the foot in the bicep a little bit. Snap this out like that. You see, if he keeps his knee tight, right now, maybe keep it really tight. Now it's harder to pull it out maybe, right? So then I jam it. Maybe I clear it here and I try to do a Toreando. So then as I jam it, he puts the foot in the bicep and extends it. Clear it out. Drop for the cut. He tries to clear that leg out as I drop in. Come up, hop, and clear to the side there. If you want to see that in action, you can watch Leandro Lo versus AJ Souza from Copa Podio. It's on YouTube now. One of the good things about the pandemic is Copa Podio started posting all their videos. Tenacious G. Let's take a different. Let's see. My gi game is very specific to low guard, spider, sweeping, Toreando, passing, but I didn't really have anything for a no gi game. Do you have any recommendations? I don't work no gi a ton. I mean, for the guard game, I think all the leg lock stuff is like for sure, like not even just for submissions, but for sweeps. Like from the bottom perspective, it's one of the it's basically replaced X guard. It's like if you can get underneath the guy, you can attack the leg lock to submit. And then if you don't get the submission, you could still turn it into a sweep. So I think the leg lock stuff and like still like kind of like a De La Riva style control, single leg control to that kind of like leg throwover position. I don't know what they call it, but like Lachlan uses is really good. I think for guard stuff, that's good. For passing, I still think really strong knee cuts still work good. And I think even Toreandos work good still. So let's see here. Zukid every day. I get issues recovering from reverse De La Riva. I try to recover in a keymaster style fashion, but the person on top does not let me do so by cupping my bottom leg, reverse De La Riva, and can't lasso due to pressure on knee. Huh. Do you understand that question? Okay. And he can't get the leg out because they're controlling it, right? So probably break the sleeve grip and then try to get it out. That's what I would think. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to answer that. I'm not sure if I understand the exact situation, Zukid, but we'll try. Okay. So it seems like what you're saying is like they're kind of like in on a cut and you're like in reverse De La Riva and you would like to clear this leg back out to a keymaster, but they're controlling this leg, right? I would focus a lot on getting control of this sleeve. That's like the number one thing you'll see like Tommy Langaker do when he's here. And if he's on this lapel here like this, I'm going to use this knee shield hard to try to break that grip. So I can create a lot of separation with this knee. That's a big thing. Like you really want to be using this knee shield all the time to create space. The more space I can create, the easier it is to get this out. If he's holding this here, this strong shield protects me from the pass. I can get this sleeve out. I shield. Now I can bring this out and I can get the keymaster hook in. Right now here, it just depends on what you want to do here, right? I could try to shoot a triangle here. You know, I could try to
pull across here and then start, if he gets his elbow and knee tight, I could start trying to play collar sleeve on this side. You know, you could get the foot here and start trying to pull in this way. I could shoot a triangle, go to a matrix, all sorts of stuff starts to open. But I think probably use that knee shield to break that lapel grip more. Don't worry about lassoing the leg maybe, or you could try to lasso, but if you feel you can't, try to knee shield hard and then try to create a lot of separation with that top shield to get the bottom leg out and then key master it. Do you have any special attack back take when the opponent turtles? Not really. Nothing special, nothing super interesting there, I think. I think honestly, like 90% of jiu-jitsu is in passing and defending the guard, you know? Like if you can pass the guy's guard, like usually even versus like world-class black belts, if you get a clean pass, like you'll get the back or the side, or they'll expose something. So I don't focus on that as much. Maybe I should probably focus on it more, but like what defines winning and losing the match is whether or not I can get the pass. And like when you're trying to fight guys like Paulo Miao or Shane Jamil, like, or Mendez, like, you know, the big thing is like, can you get that guard pass? So that tends to be where I put a lot of my attention. Do you know the rules set for legal leg locks in competition? I guess it depends on where you're fighting. If it's IBJJF, you cannot do any form of heel hook or anything. So it's just like straight ankles, knee bars, and toe holds. Can you show some variations to pass collar sleeve guard pass with the foot on the hip, please? Yeah, sure. I think I showed this last time, but it's such a common problem. It's worth showing again. So collar sleeve with the foot on the hip is kind of the same idea as like far side collar sleeve ultimately. So we're going to be here like this, right? So he gets his foot on my hip. Okay. If I can jam this leg all the way, I like to do it. But if it's out a bit, like start putting your foot in my bicep, if I try to jam it here, he's going to push his foot hard. I can't really do that. So whenever I don't feel like I have control over this leg, my safe spot is right hand on the rib cage. Turn this way a little bit. Yeah. My safe spot is like right hand on the rib cage. Okay. And the reason I have my hand on the rib cage, yeah, you can grab there, is so that actually, sorry, yeah, is so that when he tries the knee shield here, my forearm can kind of block the shield like this, and it kind of like pins him, so it's hard to go for a triangle. And even if he did shoot a triangle, my forearm here, go ahead and shoot the triangle, kind of can pin his hip down and give me room to fight back. And it gives me kind of a counter leverage for my arm. Okay. So here, as he's trying to shield and he's got the foot on the hip, if he starts with the foot and the bicep extended, then I'm going to like as fast as possible try to throw this over and get in here. Even if he shoots a triangle here, I'm going to block it, try to fight back, get my hand to the rib and try to block this shield. Now I'm going to try to pull my left arm back to get a grip on his hip. Okay. If I get a grip on the hip, now if I pull this back and he shoots a triangle, I have his hip pinned. It's hard to do the triangle. Now I'm going to try to loop this. Of course, he could try to like lasso it or something here like this. And like, I may have to fight this a bit, but this gives me some safety. I'm going to catch this foot and try to pull it towards the floor. Or if I can get outside here and press it out and now put it in my bicep here, it's really hard to get it in the bicep. And now I'm going to start running this way to try to pass. He's probably, if he doesn't respond, I'm just going to pass. If he lassos, which is probably the case, I'll step in and I'll start trying to row this back and loop out of this lasso until I can break this. Once I get out of this, now I'm back in here, and then I can start setting up different kinds of passes from here. Alternatively, what could also happen when you're here and he's got this guy, and I'm here, is when I try to grab this hip, he makes it hard to grab the hip by pulling up there. Sometimes that makes it easier to loop this, and I can break it. So I'm either going to try to grab the hip, the knee, loop this and try to break it. If I can't, I'll control the sleeve, hold my sleeve, right? I'll control the sleeve, and then I try to do the same thing where I pass this way. Let's see here. Do you believe certain techniques are more prone to work on competition than others? Some stuff seems to work only on gym classes, whereas 100% strength pressure use is not involved. Well, I mean,
It depends on the gym you're training at. Like some gyms, like there's more intensity in the gym than in the tournament, right? Depends on who you're fighting. As far as techniques working in competition versus in the gym, I mean, it depends on who you're fighting. Like you may be rolling in the gym and not be able to catch a blue belt in an ankle lock because he knows your game and he's really good at defending ankle locks. And you may go compete against a black belt who doesn't have anyone in his gyms doing that particular ankle lock, and you may catch him. So uh, I would say so. It just depends on who you're fighting, but for sure, the idea of competition is it tends to breed the most efficient techniques because the reason the person's using that is it has been tested against a lot of people and it tends to be highly successful. So for sure, techniques you see being used at a black belt world class level tend to be better. That's why I think watching competition video is so worthwhile because let's say you're training in a small gym and there's not a ton of super high level guys at your gym, right? Well, you may come up with a technique and it works on everyone in your gym, like, oh, that's great. But you don't have the chance to try it on all these other world class guys. So maybe if you try it on them, they're good at countering it, they have good instincts, or they've seen it before and they're good at defending it. So it's hard to have the faith that you know it's going to work, right? But if you see someone use something in competition, that kind of like guarantees that it's probably pretty good if they did it to like Leandro Lowe. You know what I mean? So then that kind of gives some confidence. So if you're at a lower level or you're training at a smaller gym, trust in techniques that you've seen used at a world-class black belt level tends to often pay off because you know it's been tested, right? Not to say that you can't invent something that could work like that, but it's hard to know for sure since you haven't got to test it. But then maybe you go to the tournament and test it and it works on a world-class black belt. Can you show us the intricate details of the knee pinch, like when trying to come up from leg drag or crab ride? The knee pinch. By knee pinch, do you know what he's talking about? Okay, can you elaborate more, Jaguar, on what knee pinch you're referring to? Are you talking about like when you're in the crab ride? Like I'm not sure what you're talking about with the knee pinch. Also, how much do you recommend drilling the competition repertoire versus serious rolling for the competition? That's interesting because like I hate drilling for the purposes of development. I don't really like to drill. I feel like if you don't know a technique, if you drill it a lot, then you're probably drilling it wrong and reinforcing bad habits. So I always need like resistance to trust my technique, right? So in that sense, actually before a tournament, I'm a little bit different because before a tournament, if you know your game and your technical level already, it's like I trust my jiu-jitsu. I know it's in there and I have that pattern recognition. I actually, yeah, send it by video. Thanks, bud. I actually know what techniques I know. Then actually leading up to a tournament, if you want to lower the chance of injury, sometimes going super hard rolling, you might get hurt or something like that. So I still think you should roll a lot before leading up to a tournament. But in that sense, actually, I think high repetition, really intense, fast drilling only of techniques that you've already mastered can actually have a really good place for making your speed better. Because sometimes when like people would think that rolling is the best way to push your cardio, but in fact, if you're rolling in the gym competitively, often you get to these places where like you're tired and you want to win the match versus the guy you're going with because we all have a little bit of an ego, and like you're like, man, like I'm winning right now, or I have a good position. If I took a risk here, I might lose. So I'm going to play it safe. And you're careful. But if you do like speed drills, you're like, okay, 2 minutes, as many Toreandos as I can in 2 minutes. Then like it's you versus the fatigue, right? And that actually might push your cardio even more than the match itself. So I think before a tournament, I think both. You should have rolling, but actually, I think high repetition speed drills can be a great way to push your cardio while lowering the risk injury because it's not as wild and random as full sparring. So that's actually kind of the reverse perspective of what I normally have. Let's see here. I usually have a problem with ankle grip De La Riva when you can't break it. Even when I manage to defeat the other leg, I tend to end up giving my back because the hook tilts my knee. Okay, well, the second part of that question, I'm not really sure what's going on, but with the ankle grip portion, I'll talk about that. All right, we'll do it this way. So if I'm trying to pass De La Riva, people often think the issue is that the guy has their ankle or the pant leg. You hold the ankle's fine. Yeah, they think the issue is that the guy's holding the ankle or the pant leg. But the reality is that, yeah, I mean, of course, I could try to kick this out. Go ahead, hold it tight. Like, yeah, thank you. Yeah, but like realistically, you don't have to break it. Like if I was here and I hit a leg drag, for example, that's like that. I don't have to break the ankle grip. Like I'm going to go here and start passing. He'll eventually let go after I pass, right? Or if I hit a clean knee cut, right, like this, and I go here and hit this, this is going to break the ankle grip. So you don't have to like break the ankle grip before passing. You can pass directly through De La Riva and threaten him in a lot of ways. Same thing with the pant grip. A lot of people will hold the pant leg, right? And then people think that like, oh, I have to get rid of this before I pass, or they'll knee cut and they can't get through, so they think it's the pant grip, but it's that they haven't opened the hip enough to get in on the cut, right? So I don't think you need to think about it like that you necessarily need to break that grip. You need to learn how to pass the ankle grip in general, which is like De La Riva, right? When they're holding your ankle, learn how to like leg drag through it, reverse leg drag, knee cut. I have a couple of videos on that. Let's see. What's your answer when opponent keeps pulling out the shallow lasso with opposite and grabbing a wedgie grip and stacking? Actually, I answered that question a little bit earlier, Aaron Watson. It's the same exact answer. If you watch the replay of the stream, it's basically the same solution as when the guy is trying to dive for a crab ride from the top of your single lasso, which was basically keeping that right leg low, threading it under the armpit and like anti-stack motion. But I did that earlier. So if you watch the repeat of this live stream, you should see the answer to that question. Let's see here. How do you defend the X crab ride and the twister hook, please? That's kind of like a really broad question. Like defending the crab ride, it's like there's so many factors with the crab ride itself, and like if the guy, like I don't know, it depends on how, like the twister hook. If the guy fully has the twister hook in, then you're in deep trouble anyway. There's probably guys that are pretty good at defending once the guy's that far along, but that's not my expertise for sure. I feel like if basically if the guy has a deep twister hook, you're more or less all the way, you're in deep trouble anyway. So I would say that in general, like defending the crab ride is similar to like defending a stack, which would be like, okay, so just start like you're going in on like a crab ride. It depends on how far along the guy is as well, right? So just start going in on the crab ride. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the big thing I'm focusing on is just trying to push and get the leg off and thread my leg. Turn this way. I guess it's kind of hard for you to follow. Yeah. Right. It's like I'm here and I'm just trying to block these legs and thread my feet under and inside of his arm as quick as possible. Because like whenever I get in here, it really messes up his grip, right? He's going to kind of have to regrip. I'm not saying that's easy to do, but basically if I get into a position where someone starts trying to crab ride, I'm just pushing their hip and trying to thread my feet back in as fast as possible and get out. But it's not like it's not a position you want to be in, right? If I'm in a crab ride, like, because I'm not doing double guard pull often, like I'm just trying to pass. So if I'm in a crab ride, it's because the guy knocked me over and got to my back almost, right? And then I'm in deep trouble. So I'm pushing the legs off and trying to thread my feet in and scoot back fast. Once I get all the way out, I'm going to try to come back up on top and try to pass. Okay. Let's see. I've been struggling to get out of ankle lock from 50-50. Well, if the ankle lock is fully in, that's a different thing. Are you just saying like they're in 50-50 with the ankle lock grip? Let's see. Hey, Beavis, I'm definitely going to leave the video up for sure. So how can I pass reverse De La Riva with lasso guard? He is holding my collar with his right hand and playing shallow, deep lasso with his left hand. How can I pass reverse De La Riva with lasso guard? He is holding my collar with his right hand and playing shallow or deep lasso with his left hand. Also, my leg's stuck. I'm trying to understand. You're on top, right? So how is your leg stuck? Okay, I'll try to address it. Okay, so let's see what angle would be good here. We'll go this way. Okay, so we're here. I think from what I understood, the right hand is on the collar here. The left hand is lassoed, right? And then this is either shallow or deep lassoed, and this right foot is like a reverse De La Riva hook. Well, what I would do first is with my right hand, I would kind of probably hold the lapel first, and I'm going to use this left hand to try to pin this hook, and I'm actually going to start backing out here. Now, whether he's in a shallow, if he stays like this, I'm gonna do this, right? Say he stays shallow. Then I'm going to pin this leg. I'm going to use my elbow to lift, try to get my body under the calf, and now I can start coming in on a knee cut here, right? If he goes deep with it here like this, I'm going to back out and try to come up here and pin this leg and actually circle back to the center. Circle this way. Keep going. Yeah, right. Keep going. There we go. Okay. So I'm actually going to pin this. We keep the collar, right? And I'm going to back up here. And I'm going to try to take my hand behind the bottom hamstring, turn it backwards, and start walking up here. Once I get here, I can start clubbing over and trying to pass there. But I would pin the leg and try to circle back to the center and try to loop out by shooting your hand across to the other side hamstring. Which are the best Scandinavian athletes you've sparred well in Sweden? I mean, I haven't got to spar with all of them, right? But I mean, obviously like Tommy, Espen, Tariq, Max, Limbaud, Ahmad. I guess the ones that I've actually sparred with is probably like Max, Limbaud, and Ahmad Amran. I haven't got to actually spar with like Tommy and Espen. Obviously, they're really good though. So Tariq as well. Alexander Buffoon is like another Swedish competitor. I think he took third at Worlds 1 year at Purple, maybe. It's kind of the main ones I can think of, really. What do you do when you get caught in X guard? Well, there's a lot of different variations, but we'll just talk about like I think the most common situation, which would be getting caught in single leg X first. Okay, so we're here, right? So the guy goes to single leg X, however he got here. First thing, if I feel like I can, the first thing usually I'll do if he doesn't have this pant leg here is I'm going to kind of push my knee forward. I control this inside ankle with my left hand. I push my knee forward. I'm going to grab his foot and push the knee back into like the socket almost. That creates kind of a counter pressure. And like as I have a little bit of resistance here, I'm going to clear this and I lift my foot straight up and try to pass here. And I'll come here. It usually turns into a scramble. But the big thing is like when I backstep this, I don't like big backstep because they'll usually catch it, right? I more push it in, clear, and I go right high like this and step through. It's way easier to clear it. Now, that's the easy one. If he goes single leg X again, right? And yeah, like this. If he has this pant leg, it's different because you can't backstep. Here, usually I'll grab this lapel and I start pulling, turn this way a little bit. And I start pulling my right foot back like this, right? And I try to like start working that back. You can have like an ankle lock grip. Yeah, okay. So I start here and I start trying to pull that heel back here. And now I start trying to work this off, right? This one's really good. As you pull it back, you get really heavy here. And then again, I can't do anything about, I can't backstep here. So now either I'll dig an underhook. If it's hard to get that underhook, I'll peel up on the elbow and I'm gonna like knee cut across this way here, right? Here, if I can, I'll clear this knee and I can start coming to mount. Lucas Lepre does this to like, I think Michael Liera or Manchurkera at Worlds 1 year. It's really good. Otherwise, sometimes I'll go here and now I might switch to an underhook or a cross collar grip and I can actually kind of face crank my way through and go there. I really like that one a lot. My privates online. Yeah, basically what I do for the online privates is basically I work with someone. We discuss a position or a series we want to work on. I send some basic footage to kind of overview the position and how we want to do it. And then we do weekly phone calls where I do like a live play-by-play with the person where I watch the match and then I send them follow-up videos because I have a huge stockpile of videos with like specific answers to all these like micro problems people make. So I'll watch the video with the person and then we just go through it and I'll be like, and then we discuss the match and like what they're thinking. And then it'll be like, okay, at like 1 minute and 52 seconds here, you have a lasso and like your hands here. I think it should be here. What are you thinking? And then they'll like talk to me back about it. And then I'm sending them videos with examples of what I want them to do different. And then it's kind of like a live play-by-play solution-oriented problem. And I do it based off of positions, right? So often people ask me like, oh, like, can you just watch my match? It's like hard for me to watch someone's match as a whole. The first thing I have to do is like understand the positions they know. So usually I start with like, okay, we're going to work on double sleeve or collar sleeve or passing De La Riva. I have like a conversation with the person to figure out what we're going to work on. And then I send them the overview of how I like to play the position with a lot of different video. And then we start going through it and we tackle it as it develops. And the longer I work with someone, then we start taking on different topics is kind of how it works more or less. What are your thoughts on lineage and loyalty and BJJ? What about normal XGuard? Yeah, I'll show normal XGuard in a minute. Your thoughts about lineage and loyalty and BJJ? I don't think about it much. I mean, loyalty is to another human, like in the same way that like there's loyalty in anything. I don't think BJJ loyalty should be different, right? It's just loyalty. Loyalty is everything. Yeah, I mean, assuming it's a two-way street, but like let's say you have a coach that doesn't ever show up to the class, right? And you train with him for 3 years and he just never comes in, has you pay, but never shows up and has like a blue belt or someone under him teaching the classes for him in that context, right? That's kind of like a different thing, right? There's a lot of gray area. Or what if you work for someone who's your coach, but then they start like underpaying you or they start cheating you on like your paychecks? There's a lot of gray area there. So like loyalty, blind is like basically a cult. So, I mean, I think loyalty matters. Like when I left my home gym in St. Louis, Missouri, I had like a long conversation with my original coach that, I wanted to move to Atlanta to try to train and compete more full time. And there was a lot of other competitors there to train with, and he was very understanding. So I think, there's somewhere in between. I also think that, if you're training with a coach and he's giving all of his effort to try to make you a champion, he's bringing in people who are good competitors, and he's really putting a lot of effort into making you better, right? And he really did give you a lot of your game. Like I've seen a lot of guys who train at some small gym, the head coach didn't really do much for him. The student like kind of taught themselves from YouTube, became really good, and then eventually moved somewhere else. And that coach is like, that's not fair. It's like that student built it themselves. But like, let's say that you have someone who comes to you to train with you, like, I want to be your student, please help me. And then as a coach, you put a lot of extra effort into making this person beyond the regular class. Like you're like thinking about their game, like spending extra time with them to really make them good. And they use you for 3 years to get up to speed on everything you know. And then all of a sudden, like Mendez opens up down the street, right? And then they're just like, all right, peace out, I'm gone. I think that's kind of like not okay. Or it's okay, but like, there's some gray area. I don't think it's like right on either side. Like there's nuances to every situation. Let's see here. I enjoyed having you in Atlanta. I learned some great things from our private lessons, Steve. No problem, buddy. I was really happy to be there. Hopefully I can come back sometime in the future, eventually, when the world's back to normal. Let's see what questions. Regular XGuard. Yeah, so let's go through regular XGuard. So a little bit of similarity. Again, regular XGuard a lot of times can be like avoided. It depends on how you're getting to the position, right? Like if I'm here and the guy goes into single leg X and I go here like this immediately, it's really hard for him to get regular XGuard in the first place, right? The guy getting full regular XGuard, like I feel like that's an avoidable position often, right? It's not the same thing as like I can't avoid a lasso. That's going to happen, but full regular XGuard is often way more avoidable. But let's say we're in full regular XGuard, okay? First thing again is if I can push this foot down and backstep, I'll always go for that. You can grab more firmly. All right. So yeah, we're here like this, right? So if I can push this leg down and start backstepping, that's always the first thing I do. If I can't, or he has this pant leg here, this is a little bit more tricky. Here, I like to turn my toes forward and hold this collar for kind of balance. And I try to like ride my hip on the legs here. Now I'm going to use this hand and grab his toes on the outside leg, right? And try to push this through here. From here, it just depends. If I can pop this through, I'll sit down and then I start trying to come through this way. So a lot of times I'll kind of circle through. Sometimes when I'm here too, right, if I can like pop this guy out here like this, sometimes you can strip this and then start trying to backstep. Go back again. Yeah, but long story short, I like this grip to prevent myself from getting knocked straight back. Try to stay heavy here. Try to use this foot on the toes to pop this guy through. And then if I can, switch to that underhook and try to slide through and circle out there. But again, that's a position I try to avoid. Let's see here. Sorry, buddy. I'll try to announce a bit sooner next time. This one was pretty short notice. I'm going to start trying to make a Monday, Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time, like my standard live stream time. So it's every Monday and Wednesday. So I was trying to get it set up so that I could pull people into the chat to talk as well, but that's like a bit more complicated. I'm using like OBS and stuff. So, and the quality dropped a lot when I switched to like a stream instead of the webcam. So I'm going to figure that out. Any more questions? Let's see. Guard rotation when opponent goes, could say hold of fat collar, far collar. I think he means like the cross one. Yeah, I'll show that. Yeah, so this one actually I learned by Gabriel Goulart showed me this. Wait for it to. No. Trying to get the focus right. Okay, there we go. Okay.
So Gabriel Goulart showed this one. Yeah. So basically, when the guy gets across, we'll do it with do the other hand. Yeah. Right. So when the guy gets across with this lapel, it can become a real pain because a lot of times you can just kind of bridge your hips back and push the sleeves and be difficult and then start trying to work your foot in front. But if he already gets the grip, it's a bit harder. So what Gabriel showed me, and this always works really good for me, is once he gets this cross grip, I go over the back with the left hand here and hold this. Okay. If I go over the back with the same arm of the side that he reached across with and go here, it becomes basically impossible for him to continue with that stack pressure. And then now I'll double up and just get both grips. You can grab even higher as well, right? Like this, right here. So I grab this. Like now, as he tries to continue to pressure, all I got to do is pull down. He can't elevate more. I'm going to extend my hamstring really far out here, and that'll break the grip. Once I break the grip, I'm going to switch back to the sleeves, and I start wiggling back like this, and I just try to keep my hips really heavy. The more he tries to lift here to stack, I just keep wiggling, and the more he postures up, the easier it is to start trying to loop your foot back in front. Okay, but that little hack there of just grabbing over makes such a difference. Any YouTube channels you enjoy watching aside from your own? Well, I don't really watch my own, I guess, too. So, I mean, just when I upload the video, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Lachlan's stuff is really good. Obviously, I haven't really watched a ton, but what I've seen, he's great at explaining and breaking stuff down. Yeah, I can't really take credit for the double under defense. That's all Gabriel Goulart, but yeah, it's an amazing one. Like that really is just. Before that, I had to do all this effort and like crazy other stuff trying to get out of it, and that one just seems to always work. And I fought some really good double under passers, and that seems to always work. How do you keep up with current trends? Just watching matches or specific method? Yeah, I watch a lot of video for sure. Especially like training in Sweden. I'm not like at Unity or Autos HQ, so I just watch a ton of video. I'm trying to keep an eye on like what everyone's doing. And there's certain things with like with how you fight that you know you can avoid, and then other things that like you have to have an answer for, right? So like, you know, uh if I know someone's playing a lot of like squid guard, right? I could go, okay, I'm gonna fight in such a way that I'm just not gonna give this guy this position. Like I can, he may get like worm guard or he may get De La Hiva, but I'm not giving him squid. I'm gonna fight in such a way that I don't give it, right? Um, so sometimes the way of dealing with something that's modern, if I know I'm gonna have to fight a competitor, or I'm like preparing to fight a competitor, is I can make a game plan of like, okay, this is how I'm going to avoid this position, right? And then I don't have to understand the position as well, because I feel like I can more focus on avoiding it. But some positions, I'm like, with the way I fight, I know they're going to get to that position, and me acting as if that's not going to happen is an unrealistic expectation. So then I need to learn how to actually deal with it. So you need kind of both, right? But yeah, watching a lot of videos so you're at least prepared of knowing what's going to come your way, both from seeing what your competitors might do, but also for coming up with solutions to problems. All right, guys, let's do one more question and then I'm going to cut it. It's almost 7:30 here. Let's see. Let's see. What's your mindset at the start of a match? Largely, I'm trying to like calm it down a bit and get the fight to a position that I know really well. So if the match starts, like I'm not like, trying to like pump myself up for war mode, right? I feel like usually like going super aggressive in the beginning always favors the physical athlete, right? The more physical person. You want to calm it down and keep it like technical. If you're trying to beat someone who's like stronger, faster on steroids, then like you're basically trying to beat someone who has more physical prowess than you. So trying to go into a match like war mode is more likely going to move you away from technique and more towards chaotic movement. You can feel it in the gym. Like if you're ever rolling with someone and like you get frustrated or both people get kind of frustrated and it escalates, as soon as you start like getting your emotions involved, you start getting even more tired and usually less efficient. It's not like you do better when you start going crazy. Like a lot of times you do worse, right? So I'm trying to slow it down, so that I can keep. Like I'm just like doing a math test in my head, right? I pull guard, I get to a lasso. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get double sleeve. Okay, I can't get it. I'm going to go to collar sleeve. I'm looking for the De La Hiva hook. Okay, let me try to bump him forward. He's doing that. I'm trying to keep it slow and technical and control it, because the more it starts going wild and crazy, the more I'm going to gas out and like allow that guy's physical attributes to overplay, right? But if I can filter to a position that I know better than them, my confidence goes up. My heart rate drops because I know where I'm at, and my submissions go up a lot. So I always try to stay calm and filter the match to positions I know, right? Yeah, step by step for sure, right? That being said, you can't have a game plan beforehand, because you may be like, okay, I'm going to pull guard, I'm going to do this, 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 and this, and then they pull guard before you. It's like, oh god, now you have to deal with that, right? So you have to kind of take it as it comes, but I just try to slow it down and stay calm. And then the more positions I know, the easier it is for me to know where I am and not waste cardio. A lot of cardio when you compete, people think it's about having good cardio. Obviously, that helps and matters. But if you just know positions really well, you'll stay more calm. I can be like, half drunk or hungover and out of shape and like just ate a pizza and roll with like a blue belt and go to like lasso spider and kind of chill and just like not move, because I know the position so well, right? So obviously you want to be in shape, but if you know your jiu-jitsu well enough, even with world-class athletes, you can lock them up and tie them up. Caio Terra is a great example of that. He fights a lot of super athletic guys and he can kind of lock them up and like slow the match down. And he's usually like eating candy before fights and stuff, right? Especially jiu-jitsu is like a technical art. That's why a lot of people started. They like the idea of beating someone more physical using good, clean technique, right? So, of course, I live a healthy lifestyle and I try to be as healthy as I can, especially when I'm going to compete. But I don't want to be in a position where like
if I'm not in world-class shape, I can't do well. Like you should be able to be out of shape and still do well, right? Any tips for dealing with back pain? Yeah, do a lot of mobility, like not just stretching. Yeah, low in Baca. Yeah, not just stretching, but actually like a lot of mobility. Like, you know, that cat camel stretch where you kind of go in and then out and then in and out. Like every morning doing a lot of like mobility for all of the joints so that you're not just like, you know, one like, if you think of like your spine, even when you do jujitsu, there's certain like vertebrae that you're not like moving in and out all the time with your like spine, especially in the low back. So like you may go all day just not even moving those two vertebrae like this, right? And then like you maybe for 30 seconds do a stretch like this and then stop. But periodically throughout the day, constantly doing in and out kind of like mobility stretches like that, I think really help a lot. It helped me a lot. And get one of those massage guns too. That helps a lot too for getting some of the muscles. I have found that to be pretty helpful. Do you have stretches for knee cuts? No. Nope. I just do a lot. A lot of times, if you just play a position a lot, you'll get more flexible in that way. Like if you do a lot of key master guard, you'll start getting a lot of like flexibility like Tommy in that way. A lot of times just playing the position will actually make you more flexible. Prone extensions is good before and after training too to reverse all the guard playing. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and I think a lot of times too, like people have to understand their own body because we all operate differently. Like some people, like doing extension helps their back. Other people makes it worse. And I think that everyone kind of has to become their own like, kind of their own doctor or like, man, why is the focus off? Yeah, their own doctor or expert on their own body, right? Because like you are the expert on your own body, right? So I remember when I had my really bad disc herniation, I had all, you go online, there's all this different advice and a lot of it's contradictory. It's not just like, oh, this guy says this guy says this. This guy says if you do what he says, it's not only going to not help, it's going to make it significantly worse. And this guy says the same thing about this guy, and they both have PhDs and they're experts with lots of people online saying they're experts. So you're like, where the hell do I start? Like that was the experience I had when my back hurt. So I would just like, you know, I had if I raised my leg beyond a certain point, I would get like big pain down my leg because I had sciatica from a disc herniation in 2013. And what I did was I started testing all the different exercises for like 2 or 3 days. And then I would kind of move my leg along the wall and make a notch on the wall to see if it got any better. And if any exercise I felt like made it feel a little bit better over a few days, like I got a little extra range or something, I would keep doing those exercises. And anything else that aggravated, I would get rid of. And I would just like scientifically kind of break those down and test which ones helped, which one made it worse, you know? And then, you know, listen to a lot, you know? It's like it's the same thing in jiu-jitsu, like, or really anything. It's like you need width and depth, right? If you go really deep on one position, you're going to get really good. But also sometimes you need more wider creative thoughts to consider because sometimes it's a more abstract thing. Like maybe I don't need to stay in the position here. Maybe at this point it's better to switch position because it gets me to a better point in another position, and then I can go back to it. Or you know, sometimes you need wide considerations where you try a lot of things, and sometimes you need to go deep in one thing, and you need both to really get mastery. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for joining in. I'm going to do another one next Monday at 6:30, 6:30 my time, so 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot. I'm going to post another YouTube video tomorrow as well on the cross sleeve guard, doing the deep lace and stuff. It's a really powerful system, so I hope you guys like it. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.